About a week ago, I talked about my least favorite part of the current Spiral Abyss, the card system. But that isn't the only problem I have with the current Abyss. It just so happened to be the one that I have the most problems with, because I think it has the most potential. But what I wasn't expecting was to get a new event shortly after that shows me exactly what the Spiral Abyss could be, with a system that's far better than the cards and could improve everything else at the same time, while somehow still keeping the feel of the current Abyss and how it's structured. Because the first thing I noticed when I started doing this event is that they bear a lot of similarities, like a shocking amount. So much so that I immediately thought that, wow, this could be the new Abyss. So I want to go over each part of this event and why I think it's an all-around improvement to the Abyss. You know, at least in my opinion. But first, let's thank today's sponsor, Raid Shadow Legends. Come play one of the greatest mobile games of all time with over 600 unique champions that each come from a unique and varied faction for you to collect and use in your party. And if you use my link in the description below, you can start playing Raid today on both PC and mobile. Come battle the newest deadly and terrifying clan boss, the Hydra, that will use literally anything and everything in its arsenal, which is a lot, to wipe your party out. Whether that be causing you to hurt yourself through the Head of Suffering's Pain Link, turning all of your precious healing into self-inflicted damage through the Head of Decay, or just beating you to a pulp the good old-fashioned way with the Head of Wrath's Vengeance buff that will triple its damage if you hit it 15 times. And that's only just a few of the many mechanics this multi-headed boss has for you to overcome. And if joining a clan to get awesome rewards fighting the Hydra isn't enough for you, then maybe collecting some of these amazing looking champions with absolutely stunning designs for yourself is enough. And then you can take those awesome champions, head into the campaign, and grind for some levels and new artifacts to equip on your shiny new champions. And speaking of new champions, if you log in for 7 days total from now until January 28th, you can actually get yourself a free limited edition champion, esports legend, and Navi superstar Simple. This offer is valid for both new and old players alike, so don't miss your chance to get him before you will miss out on him forever. And if you use my link in the description or scan my QR code up here, you'll get a free starter pack worth almost $30 to kickstart your game. We're talking a free champion Tyrell, 200k silver, 1 energy refill, and 1 EXP boost, and 1 ancient shard, so you can summon an awesome champion as soon as you get in game. All this treasure will be waiting for you in game. All you gotta do is check here in the top right of your game, where they'll be waiting for you immediately. I hope to see you in game. Now back to the video. The first and biggest reason I feel this way is something I didn't actually even ever think about, which is choosing the order you do floors in. In the case of this event, it's obviously a much simpler form with less floors to do overall, but you still have 4 floors in each stage of the event, and you have to alternate teams, which perfectly emulates the current 2-party system we have in the current Abyss. Well, almost. They're not quite tied together like they are now. This could easily be reworked into the same length of the current Abyss, but with a little bit of a different feel. And being able to choose which floor is your easiest and which ones are your hardest floors is a lot more interesting of a choice, especially depending on what characters you have available. Currently, the enemy layouts of the Abyss as we know it would need some additions or revisions to make them actually balanced, because right now, fighting a bunch of small regular hilly churl mixed with some slimes is nothing compared to fighting spicy puppies and ocean mimics that just push your shit in and blow your ass up. However, bringing them up to the same level, not that difficult to do. At any given time, there's a lot of enemies we never see in the Abyss, so maybe just increase the diversity, add some more enemies, add some more difficult ones, in with some lighter ones, just please leave specters out of it. We've suffered enough, those little assholes are the devil. Secondly, the cards. I mean, I talked about this before, but Abyss cards are uninteresting. But the potions, on the other hand, at least some of them, are more in line with what I originally wanted, something that could drastically change the way you play it. Especially this beautiful example, the Parallel Potion. When the active character uses an elemental skill, all party members' cooldowns are shortened by 50% for 8 seconds, and can only be triggered every 16 seconds. That is massive. Alongside some other potions, like ones that increase your damage based on staying above a certain health threshold, are far more interesting than the current Abyss cards we have. Some potions are a bit more similar to the current cards we have, but there's definitely room for basic buffs like this to exist alongside more complex ones. Sometimes, you know, you just don't want to think too much and you want to choose the big flat defense buff and go Oonga Boonga and smash things with Ito. And being able to choose from a pool that gets smaller and smaller as you climb more floors just makes the overall choices more interesting, because maybe you want to save some strong buffs for particular floors, or maybe not use any at all and keep your options completely open. But that also brings me into the next point, implementing a score-based system, much like the event has and other events have had. It's no secret that everyone hates the timer in the Abyss. It feels bad, it's boring, it's uninteresting, and for a lot of players who don't have very strong accounts, it is incredibly punishing. interesting. And whenever they do deviate from this, it's always the obelisk, which is just another form of timer just hidden behind a health bar with honestly quite a bit of RNG. The enemies can sometimes just beat the shit out of it. Other times, it doesn't really get touched. But it's not fun to just try to defend this stationary object as it just gets picked apart by tons of little hilichurl or treasure hoarders that are scattered around it. And if you don't have a character like Venti or Kazuha or an Anemo character to trivialize the process, you're just kind of running around out of stamina, just bopping each one by one. It's not fun. Quite honestly, I hate it more than the time trials. While the score system is still essentially a time trial, if you earn points by completing it with time remaining, and that carries on to other floors, you're essentially rewarded for good performance on earlier floors, and that gives you an easier time on the later one. Similar to how the current abyss works, if you have a team that just absolutely annihilates the first half of a chamber, your second chamber has a lot more leeway. Just this would actually carry over through the whole experience rather than just on one single floor. And even if they wanted to make each floor more independent of each other, they could just include bonus objectives for more points, like don't get hit a certain amount of times, don't take a certain amount of damage, maybe don't trigger a certain reaction. They could do any number of things. Or they could just use the system that other events have had in the past where you select difficulty modifiers to increase the points and control the difficulty in various ways. Obviously, they don't want to make the Abyss too easy with changing it because difficulty is what keeps many players engaged and creates goals to overcome. And games, you do need goals in games. It does keep things interesting. But they certainly can make it more interesting because right now the Abyss is very linear, repetitive, and for many players it feels unrewarding as a result of the other issues. If something isn't fun to do at its core, you're immediately going to think, well, why am I doing it? And if the reward isn't enough, you just might not do it, or you might not feel motivated to do it. To some, the current rewards are fine, but it's really dependent on one major thing, just how much effort the Abyss takes for you. If you already find it to be an unenjoyable experience at its base, you're at least going to want it to be easy or effortless. And there's a weird case where if you are like some mega whale, then the rewards are definitely not going to feel rewarding to you because you get way more shit from refreshing your resin 5 times a day, or getting millions of Mora from your massive amount of excess wishes being turned into Mora through Stardust. Either way, like outside of rewards, I think we can just all stand to gain from the experience just being more fun and more enjoyable, something you actually look forward to doing outside of the rewards. As for, again, a lot of people, it's not enough. The TLDR, though, of this whole video is just, I just love this event. It's very nice. It's a short event. I wish it was a little bit longer and maybe a bit more fleshed out, but it might honestly be my favorite of all the combat events we've had, even the Labyrinth or the Misty Dungeon event. But maybe not so much a theater mechanics event because I'm just a tower defense junkie. But I'd love to hear your thoughts. Tell me what you think of this event in the comments, and if this sounds like a better version of the Abyss for you, tell me what parts you like about it, or maybe that you don't like. You can support me as a YouTube member or on Patreon if you're feeling generous. You can join my Discord if you want to be offended by my absolutely incendiary takes on food. Thank you again to Raid for sponsoring the video, and I will see you in the next one.
Freeze to the core!